And at this point, I would like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Creighton.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay.
Commissioner Alton,
Present.
Commissioner Creighton,
Present.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Present.
Commissioner Reckner,
Present.
Commissioner Brooks,
Present.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Present.
Chairman Morelli.
Present.
Chairman, did you want to make any sort of announcements before we start voting?
Yes, I would like to make an announcement that the cases 3203 through 3208 on East Pine Street will not be voted on this evening. We will be looking at some information that we received and did not have the opportunity to give it a good, fair amount of time. So the vote will be held over to the next meeting.
Case number 3185, application of Joseph and Christopher Ruggiero of 94 Arizona Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5C front yard, 9-105.5D side yard, to extend the front yard deck at 94 Arizona Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 240, lot 7, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'd like to make a motion to grant with the condition that it be restricted to the width of the house.
Second.
Commissioner Creighton has introduced a motion to grant the application with conditions. Who will second?
I second it.
Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Yes, grant with conditions.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant with condition.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant with conditions.
Brooks,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant with conditions.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant with condition.
This application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record. Case number 3189, application of Patrick Somers of 420 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.B side yard, to maintain a new deck, wood deck at 420 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 156, lot 13, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to grant.
Commissioner Leonetti has made a motion to grant the application. Who will second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted. Onto the calendar. Case number 3209, application of Joanne Flynn of 530 West Olive Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.18 use, 9-105.1H density, 9-112.1 off-street parking for conversion of a one-family house into a two-family house at 530 West Olive Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 26, lot 25 through 26 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening. Is the applicant present?
Ms. Flynn, you have to unmute yourself.
There we go. Okay.
Okay. Hi, good evening.
Hi.
So At this point, good evening, Ms. Flynn. So now you're here from 530 West Olive, and you want to convert that same home into a two-family house. What would be the changes that you're looking to make? A second kitchen, and what else? Can you just briefly describe what you would be looking to change and how?
Actually, I have a finished space that's in the lower level of my house that I've only been using when family comes to visit.
Is it habitable
I've
space?
already-
Let me just stop you. What's the height of the ceiling?
7.5 feet, almost might be
Okay.
8, 7.5 feet at least.
Okay. So now at this point, go forward, you have this habitable space, you said, right?
Is it all right? You know what? I haven't done this before, and I put together a little something that I wanted to say about why I'm doing this. Is that okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, in 2018, at the age of 65, I was laid off by my company. I had worked for them for 12 years. It's been very difficult for me to find another job. And I basically spent like the past 2.5 years living on my Social Security, which is like $2,700 a month. So I'm not able to retire right now, and I don't have a pension. So I really need to bring in some income. Between my mortgage payment and my taxes, over $3,000 a month. The space that I have in the lower level of my house, I have the CVOs for it already, for us, like a kitchen type area with cabinets, the bathroom. I got all of those CVOs in 2015. Previously, I've only been using that when my family comes to visit from out of state. I have family that lives in 2 different states, but it would be amazing if I could bring in some rent from it. There is a 2-family house right on my street, and then 4 other 2-family houses right around me that are also on 40 by 100. I'd really only be looking for at least a temporary 2-family variance to be able to get me through as much time as I can possibly, be able to pull in some rent. In addition to that, the reason why I'm doing this is because I have 2 parents that are in their 80s. They're still living on their own at this point, but within the next couple of years, I'm sure they're going to have to sell their house and live somewhere else. And I really wanted to begin this process in preparation for the point when I might need to bring them here, and I would be able to put a stove and a dishwasher in for them so that they could live with me in my house. You know what? If I was approved to do this, in addition to that, I do have off the street parking for 2 cars. I have a garage that I'm able to use and a driveway. And honestly, I would not be doing this if I had another choice. I really didn't want to do this, but I really don't feel like I have another choice. If I
All right,
rent,
let me just
Go ahead. Sure.
let me just stop you, and I have some, a couple of questions. I'm sure maybe
Sure.
the board members will too. All right, so at this point, you said that the pension you were getting, Social Security, was what? How much? About did you say 2,300 a month?
2,700.
So 27, and how much of the you have a mortgage you said on the house?
Oh yeah, between my mortgage and taxes, over 3,000 a month.
3,000. Okay, so basically, there's a financial hardship that you're presenting here, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, you also said that you would be able to accept a temporary conditional variance because obviously, you're in a financial situation that you're looking at us to help you through this. And what kind of time frame would you be talking about, maybe? Because typically a temporary conditional variance is going to run for 2 years. And in that period of time, you would have to come back up before the board to determine whether or not that financial hardship still continued. We do that as a matter of just fact with temporary conditional variances. So what I'm saying right now is that if this application were to be approved, it would be then incumbent upon you, to keep the financial records, that if you were going to come back every 2 years, that you would be able to show the board that there was a hardship here. Certainly if you were then able to continue, or if you found another job or so forth, I mean, circumstances could change. So even if you were to have this app granted at this time, there would be no guarantee that it would be renewed automatically every 2 years. Every 2 years, you would have to continue to show that there's a situation that requires you to continue the situation. Do you understand what I'm saying, right?
I do. Robin kind of explained that to me when I went into.
Okay. Yeah,
I
because
do understand that.
to grant a two-family house on a permanent basis certainly changes the complexion of the block and the house, because then obviously you have a CO for two-family that continues on in perpetuity, runs with the property. So at this point, you were clear that you would be willing to accept a temporary conditional variance. And so I think at this point, I don't have any other questions, except the apartment that you would consider putting into this house would be how many bedrooms? One bedroom?
A one bedroom. Mhm.
And what do you approximately think you might be able to get for rent?
Rents are pretty good in Long Beach. I mean, I don't know. It's really beautiful. I don't know,
You think you
maybe
get 2,000 a month?
Oh, I definitely think I could get 2,000 a month.
Okay.
That would make such a difference. It'd be unbelievable.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other questions right now. Any members of the board?
Rocco, I got the only thing I see, I'm looking at the certificate of occupancy that she received in 2015. And it says the lower level is non-habitable. 2 finished storage rooms, recreation room with wet bar, bathroom, garage and boiler room, but it specifically says non-habitable. So I don't know if she could even have a apartment in there if it's non-habitable space.
Okay.
Somebody can come and certainly, whatever you have to do, if you have, somebody has to come and do an inspection or whatever that's fine with me. You'll see that it's beautiful. It's very habitable.
I think the ceiling height is the challenge, because once you're under 8 feet, you're not in the window of what's typically
And how many egresses do you have from the
7 feet
basement?
is the limit, Barry.
Pardon?
I think 7 feet is the minimum
So
allowable.
you can go to 7. Okay, thanks for clarifying
I
that.
know 7.6 is okay. I'm not sure about 7.
Okay.
And Joanne, how many exits do you have out of that space?
Well, there's a door and then there's a ton of windows. I mean, there's all, a ton of regular sized windows.
Do you have a garage on that level?
It's not a basement. It's down like 4 steps. It's not a basement.
Do you have a garage on that level?
Yes.
And is the garage connected to this apartment also?
It's right next to it. I mean, I guess certainly if I had to, I
It looks like a house I know where the garage has a door into a utility room, and then you go to the space in the back. I
yes,
think same design. And then there's a
Yes.
side door, right?
yes,
And it's like 50% below grade, right?
probably about. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a basement, yeah.
Yeah, and it's listed on the C of O as a basement.
Yeah. It's a basement. And of course, the egress and the windows is something. The habitable thing could also be about the egress, because I do know that some people put living space in their basement that they want to have defined as habitable. They need at least one window that can be converted into an exit access, whereas basement windows, oftentimes you can't just slip out of them very easily.
Right. You need 2 exits out of the
Yeah,
habitable
yeah.
space.
So,
I would just,
They're full-size windows though, correct?
Excuse me?
Did you say that they're full-size windows?
They're the windows are actually the same size as a lot of houses that I've gone by.
I know the house, and not your house, but I know the exact design, because I actually grew up on 541 West Penn, which is an identical house. I saw it online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the
Yeah, there are a
basement.
lot of houses around the corner that are the same.
Yeah, they're all the same. Same builder brick, right, and all that slope down
Correct.
driveway, all that. Yeah. The window is not the same as a normal one. It's a little elevated, even though it's a good size. And if it's a double hung window, it's not an easy egress. That would be the challenge.
Yeah, I think,
So,
Rich,
I think we need a little more code analysis on this one.
yeah, I was going to say, Rich, I think we might be going out on a limb if we would approve something where we know it's not listed as habitable. I think maybe some consultation with the building department on that.
okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're going to
just
be
a-
holding this case off.
just a quick question. Are you looking to rent this, or are you moving your parents?
No, I'm definitely need to bring in rent right now. No, my parents live on their own right now. Probably within 2 years, if I was going to come back in 2 years from now, like the financial difference this would make to me right now would be massive. So that's why I'm here today. That would be massive difference for me. 2 years from now, as I said before, my parents are in their 80s. 2 years from now, if I came back to renew that, then we'd probably be talking about something different and the reasoning behind it being a little different. So.
Okay. At this point, I think that certainly we're going to have to use some basic discretion with other consultations. You know, we have to look at the ceiling height. We have to consider that the space is listed as non-habitable. I think I'm going to just ask Robin if there's anyone who'd like to weigh in on the case from the audience.
There's nobody with their hands raised. If you wish to speak on this matter, please use the raise hand feature.
All right. No hands are raised. This case will remain open for voting.
Hold on. Yep, we have one person. Hold on.
We got a hand. Okay, 4 against.
Okay. Mr. Ehrlich, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, we got to fix that echo. We need your name and address, please, sir.
Richard Ehrlich.
You must have something in the background.
Another device.
You got 2 devices on, that's what happens.
Yeah, you're trying to listen to yourself. You got to shut the other device off.
I only have one computer on.
I can't do that. You have the
All right,
live stream going? Could that be why?
Everybody, you know what? Maybe everybody else should mute up too, and let's just let him see if we can get him to speak without the echo. All right, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes. Richard Ehrlich, 526 West Olive Street.
right.
First of all, I guess I would rather speak after you people have done what you need to do, because if the place is not habitable, there's no reason for me to speak.
Well, no, you could speak now because basically at this point, you know, you're on. It's part of the record.
Okay, all right.
So you might
thank
as
you.
well give us your thoughts.
Thank you for the opportunity. I grew up in Long Beach, moved here in 1963. I purposely chose this house and this block because I like how quiet and simple in terms of occupancy. I'm very familiar with Park Avenue and Broadway, and even places on Walnut Street and Penn Street that are very different from this particular block. There are a lot of 2 families. My brother lived in a 2-family. The nature of the block is completely different. There's more people, there's more tumult, there's more parking, there's more litter. It's just not the same as the reason I chose to live on this block. I love living here. I've lived in this house since '97, and I chose this particular block because of how quiet and 1-family and simple it is. And I don't want the nature of that, the quality of that life, I don't want to be compromised.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ehrlich. Is there anything else?
Liza Ehrlich, 526 West Olive Street. This space has previously been converted and rented out as a vacation apartment several years ago. And so it did previously have a stove and all of the appliances. There were parties and music and smoking and barbecues and a lot of parking issues.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your input, Mr. Ehrlich. And is there anyone else? All right. Well, this case will remain open.
There is a Miss Alyson Buchalter. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, Alyson Buchalter, 529 West Olive Street.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Joanne, but I'm speaking against this. I chose this neighborhood because it's all 1-family houses. I'm afraid once we start having 2-family houses in this general area, my property value is going to go down. I chose this neighborhood as opposed to the West End or the canals because I did not want to live someplace where there's a parking issue. In front of Joanne's house, there is room for 1 car. There is room for a car to be parked across her driveway. If she's counting that as a second spot, I don't know. But there's really only 1 on-street parking space in front of her house. Just like there's only one on-street parking space in front of my house. There has been summer rentals in the past. And, never said anything about that, but it does create congestion. People are coming, and going at all hours of the day and night. That's, if somebody is renting the house, then renting the apartment, the basement, then that's their, whatever it is. Now she's talking about renting out the basement. How do we know she's not going to live in the basement and rent out the 3 bedrooms upstairs? Once she gets a variance to make it into a 2-family, she could do whatever she wants with it, at least for the 2 years. So I'm just concerned that it's going to just change the entire nature of what I bought my house for. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Robin, is there anyone else?
No, there are no other.
All right,
hand
I'd like to
raises.
move on to the next case then. This case will remain open until voting.
Case number 2263, application of Joyce Coletti of 166 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.8 use for a renewal of a 2-year conditional temporary variance for maintaining a second kitchen and a 1-family dwelling at 166 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 75, lot 161 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Okay, the applicant's present.
Scott Cohen is coming on, attorney for the applicant.
All right,
Unmute
and
yourself.
go ahead.
Good evening. I don't know what to do being this early on the calendar. Scott Cohen of Counsel to Kenneth Apple, representing Joyce Coletti, owner of 166 West Penn Street in Long Beach, New York. As most of you probably know, Ms. Coletti is a longtime resident and a local business person. She's seeking the continued renewal of her conditional variance to maintain a second kitchen at the above address. This is the fifth time that she has been before this board concerning the continuation of this conditional variance. The original application was granted back in 2012. Nothing has changed since the original grant. The unit is still being occupied by Ms. Coletti's sister, who at present is wheelchair bound and relies upon Ms. Coletti for support and care. There have been no issues brought up by this use in the past 9 to 10 years. There have been no violations issued by the building department, nor has there been any abuse of the temporary use granted. Ms. Coletti, simply put, has followed the rules. So in summation, the application fulfills all the requirements. There are no substantial changes, and I respectfully request that the board vote to approve the continuation of the conditional use. But at this point, seeing as she's been coming back at least 5 times, I would ask that the board grant her a 5-year conditional use, which the board has done on occasion in the past. Thank you.
All right, Scott, thank you. And I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Just the conditions that have changed are, basically what at this point, since anything.
Well,
As I understand it was, go ahead.
The conditions have not changed.
Not at all.
Her sister still relies upon her.
Okay.
Ms. Coletti still provides care.
It's the same sister that's living in that home?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Because what was the sister's name that was living there previously? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. Do any members of the board have any questions on that? No members of the board?
No.
All right. Anybody want to speak in favor or against?
Rocco, I think he was asking for 5 years. I don't think we can do that, right?
No.
No.
That's the problem, Scott. I mean, I know you mentioned that, we've been giving them very much 2 years almost exclusively. I don't know when that was first granted. But the thing is that the protocol has been 2 years. And I think we need to adhere to that. Let me ask you a question. Is council aware of any cases that we did 5-year variances? Because I don't remember, and I think the only case that may have been, in my mind, the case that was asked for, for 5 years was the veterinary office. And we didn't allow that. We continued that at 2 years. Unless I'm incorrect, counsel, can you weigh in on this? The
Commissioner, there
rule
was
has
a
been
case-
2 years.
There was one case I know specifically. I was involved in the original grant, and it was Dr. Shah, who was the ENT on East Park. When she came back for her renewal, the board, at its suggestion, suggested 5 years to avoid her having to come back in every 2 years, provided that the conditions do not change. And I don't remember the specifics, but I believe there was a situation similar to Ms. Coletti's at one meeting that I was at, where the board granted a 5-year request because it had been something that had been going on for a number of years. But if
Okay.
the board's not comfortable with that, I will gladly, bring back to Ms. Coletti the 2-year grant. Because that's all
All
she was.
right, yeah, I think that unfortunately,
edification of the commissioner.
Scott, I think that really, unless Mr. Barrios, our counsel, says that we have had other precedent with it, I don't think we have, certainly not in the last few years. It seems like it's gone to 2 years because I think the building department, could avail itself more easily of opportunities to evaluate the property, how the usage is going, if we leave it at the current 2. Mr. Barrios, what do you think?
Just guys, as it stands, it's just limited to 2 years, under the Code of Ordinances,
Okay,
limited to 2 years. Temporary and conditional permits for a period of 2 years or less.
okay, so it's actually codified, Scott. I didn't realize that it was actually codified. Because
tried.
maybe we did have some latitude a few years ago, but evidently we don't at this time. So if there's nobody else who wants to be heard on the application, Robin, and there is not, correct?
Correct. I'm sorry, my.
All right, then
Wi-Fi
I'm going to move to grant.
A second.
Case number 2263, application of Joy Coletti of 166 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.8 use for a renewal of a 2-year conditional temporary variance for maintaining a second kitchen and a 1-family dwelling at 166 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 75, lot 161 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks,
You're muted, Wanda.
Wanda, you're muted.
Grant with 2-year conditional variance.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted a 2-year conditional temporary variance renewal.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Case number
Scott.
2210, application of Alphonse Martone of 100 Old Lake Street, Harrison, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.19 D height, 9-105.19 D C lot yard, 9-105.19 D building area, 9-105.19 E front yard, 9-105.19 F side yard, 9-105.19 G rear yard, for a new 3-story house at 16 Minnesota Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 251, lot 4, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening again. Scott Cohen of Council Kenneth Apple, 30 West Park Avenue, Suite 202, Long Beach, New York. And I am representing not only Alfonso Martone, but Silvio Martone and Gian Piero Martone. They are the owners of 16 Minnesota Street in Long Beach. And they are seeking relief from the building code in 6 areas: lot area, building area, side yard, rear yard, front yard, and height. With respect to lot area, building area, the side yards and the rear yard, this is an area of Long Beach that requires a lot area of 4,000 square feet or 40 by 100, permits a building area of 40% of the existing lot or 1,600 square feet, permits side yards of 5 and 8 feet and a rear yard of 15 feet. However, this property was non-conforming. The applicant tore down the existing house that was there. It was a non-conforming use. The lot size, which has not changed, was always 30 by 60 or 1,600 square feet. The house, with its decks and porches and patios, was roughly 55 by 22 or 1,144 square feet and covered roughly 64% of the lot. The prior house had a rear yard setback varying from 1.2 feet to 4 feet. And the side yard setbacks, one side was 1 foot to 4.69 feet on the north side, and the south side was 2.9 feet to 0 feet. So the house that was demolished was non-conforming in virtually every aspect. The applicant is proposing a new FEMA compliant home on the existing 30 by 60 lot. So again, the lot size is not changing. If he could make it bigger, he'd love to, but he can't. The new proposed home will have lot coverage of 56.6%, which is less than the prior structure's coverage of 64%. By reason of the above, the footprint of the home the applicant is proposing is consistent with the prior non-conforming use of the previous home. It's within the current building code requirements. With the current building requirements, if we were to meet those requirements, it would be impossible to construct a new home as the code stands. With respect to the front yard, the applicant's proposal calls for a 0 front yard due to the leading edge of the front decks. Now, I've spoken with the applicant and told him that this is not something that the board would approve, even though the house next to him has a 0 foot setback. The board would not entertain that because that is not something that the board is no longer doing. And so I would therefore offer a modification to the front yard setback, creating that first elevated deck with the leading edge being set back 1 foot back from the property line and the posts being cantilevered 3 feet back from the property line. So that deck would come into compliance with the front deck code for existing homes and what this board has approved front decks on newly constructed homes. With respect to the height, the code permits a height of 25 feet. The applicant here is proposing a height of 32.4 feet. The height variance is created by a rooftop deck with a bulkhead that is at the rear of the house. First off, the roof deck does not cover the entire roof. It covers less than 2/3 of the roof, and the bulkhead covers the balance. The roof deck is entirely within the footprint of the house. The leading edge of that roof deck that would face Minnesota is flush with the footprint of the house. It does not extend over the front decks. The sides of that roof deck do go to the sides of the house. The bulkhead, which is located in the rear third of the house, is roughly 17 by 22 and will be used for storage and for housing the HVAC systems. There's one window, and that's at the rear of the bulkhead, but this is not living space. The roof deck is accessed by an interior staircase that tops out within that bulkhead, and there would be a sliding glass door allowing you to go from the bulkhead onto the roof deck. The following factors must be considered by the board when making its determination whether or not to grant a variance, whether there is an undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method, some other method, whether the request of the variance is substantial, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the neighborhood, and whether the difficulty was self-created or not. With respect to any alleged undesirable change, it is my position that there will be no undesirable change to this neighborhood. The house that was there was an old house. The rest of the houses on this, or most of the houses on this stretch of Minnesota, which is between Ocean View and the beach, are new raised homes. The area is residential. The prior house was non-conforming and had more of an impact on its neighboring homes than the proposed structure will, in that that home went closer to the boundary lines than what we're proposing herein. And again, the majority of the homes on this block are new, elevated, with front deck systems similar or greater than what is being proposed herein. With respect to there being any reasonable alternative, under the way the code is written for this section of Long Beach, you cannot construct a compliant home on this lot as it is. There is no other reasonable alternative to construct a home other than what is being proposed herein. So rather, in keeping with what has already been approved, the applicant is seeking to construct a home that is similar in lot coverage to what is currently existing by the neighboring homes. The variance requested herein is not substantial. Actually, we're seeking to construct a new FEMA compliant home that has less lot coverage than what was previously existing. The major difference between what was previously existing and what is being proposed is the height. But the height proposed is not inconsistent with other homes in this area. The roof deck that we're requesting simply affords the applicant and his family additional outdoor space, which is a premium in the West End. There will be no adverse effect or impact on the existing neighborhood. The proposed structure is very similar. Though it is larger, the structure has it's very similar to a footprint to what has been what was taken down. The structure is larger than what was taken down in volume, but not in footprint. This type of structure has previously been approved by this board. Something very similar at 20 Virginia. It's a larger house, and that house is a 4-story home with a much larger roof deck and an attic similar to what is being proposed herein. And I'm familiar with that case because I spoke against that case, and the board granted the applicant's proposal then. And the difficulty here is not self-created. This aspect of the test is relevant only to your determination, but will not necessarily preclude the granting of an application. The factor is not determinative on its own and is to be considered in conjunction with all of the other factors. Here, the difficulty is not self-created. It's created by the physical constraints of this non-conforming lot. So the lot is 30 by 60, and it's limited to what can be done. And that is our presentation. I would request, in summation, I would state that we fulfill all the requirements for approval. There is no undesirable change that is created. There is no reasonable alternative. The request is not substantial. It's consistent with other homes on the block. There is no adverse effect, and the hardship hearing was not self-created. And I would respectfully request that the board grant this application. Thank you.
Okay, Scott, I just have to ask you, and as I look at the side view of the house, now what's described as a bulkhead on the rooftop deck occupies a significant amount of square footage on the side of the house. I mean, it looks like it's approximately, well, I would say 60%. What's in that bulkhead? What is that?
Well, it's
Is that
actually
purely attic space? What is that?
it is actually, the dimensions are roughly 17 by 22.
All right.
So it's about a third of the footprint of the house. And if you look at the drawing on page A3, it shows the use as attic storage, HVAC, and loft. So there is no running water that's going up there. I would presume that there's electric because there's HVAC, but there's not going to be a sink or a wet bar or a kitchenette. That's not.
Yeah.
It's
Because you know what I'm having a little trouble visualizing is that when I look at left elevation and I look at right elevation, they look substantially different. You know, when you look at the size of the deck and you look at the size of the bulkhead, on the left elevation, you know, maybe one can say it's more of a bulkhead, looks like maybe it could be a small room. But then when you look at it on the right elevation, I mean, it's actually got a window in it, and there's a lot, it seems that there's a lot more going on that right elevation. There's like a discrepancy there.
And that is, if you see the right elevation has that slope that comes down, that's due to the interior staircase.
Okay.
That's why it looks, and that window is actually at the landing at the top of that interior staircase. So
Okay.
I had to have a long discussion with the architect to have him explain to me what this, how this works. But it's an odd shape. And once he explained to me that is actually the staircase going up, that's why the right elevation looks completely different than the left elevation.
But the deck size looks different too, though, you know? Like when you look at the deck on the right and the left side, they look like two different decks.
Right, because the staircase, if you look at drawing on A3,
Yeah.
okay, you'll see that for lack of a better comparison, the deck kind of in the shape of the state of Utah, with its upper right corner just chewed off. And that's why it appears from the right side that the right side is much shorter than the left side, because of that staircase. If it was a circular staircase, they would be similar in dimensions. But he proposed a straight run staircase.
Is this a two-family house or a one-family house?
It is a one family.
So you have two huge decks, not huge decks, but very good sized decks on the other two floors. You have a full height garage, and then you have two full floors, and then you have what you call a bulkhead and a loft. And the height variance doesn't even cover really the full height of the loft because you're going to the midpoint. So the house is actually even higher than what the variance is calling for. I think it's creative that they call it a loft, but it's really a fourth floor.
Well, it's a third floor. It's not because the first floor is not habitable.
Well, understood. But when you're comparing it to other houses in the neighborhood, I mean, it's not self-created. Well, it's self-created because you put all the stuff on the roof.
Well, you bought a 30 by 60 plot. That's not a self-created either.
Well, the coverage is not an issue because there really isn't any way around it. But the height.
I mean, the top floor, you're saying it's utility, but you've got a big deck and you got French doors up there. So, I mean, it really is being designed for entertainment.
And a loft.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we certainly can minimize that.
It's just, it reads like it's a bonus space. Let's face it. There's no sense in pretending otherwise. Yeah.
If I remember, do bulkheads have to be counted in the height of a building if they're under a certain size or under a certain percentage of the building? I thought I remembered that coming up before. And
I think technically not, Dan. But I mean, when you look at the rear elevation, you got a full house there all the way up to the peak of the bulkhead here. It's
No, I got
that whole ground floor for mechanicals. I mean, you can elevate, air handlers down there without even being below the flood zone.
Or if you put a normal peak to roof on the house instead of making a roof deck and a bulkhead, you'd have room up in the attic there for that.
A peaked roof would probably bring us to about the same height.
No, it wouldn't be that high.
Scott, how many-
The other,
Neighbors' homes that you have around there.
There were two questions that came in I didn't hear.
My
Go
apologies.
ahead, go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
How many stories was the existing house that was demolished?
I believe it was a 1.5. It was an it was a bungalow. So it had that storage space on the bottom, then it had one living floor, and then it had an attic. So I guess that would be a 1.5.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, most of the issues, Scott, I gotta tell you, I don't have an issue with a lot of it was existing.
It's the height.
Even though it was taken down, but the height is definitely a concern to me. I mean, it's a big variance. It's not like
It's gonna be the Freedom Tower of the West End.
It's not a foot or two. Yeah, it's going way over.
I mean, 7.5 feet is a big jump.
Right, but the other inaccuracy that was stated is that we haven't been granting rooftop decks. Not to say especially because if it was minimized, we would necessarily grant or deny it, but especially when the deck goes from one side of the house all the way to the other side of the house and to the front. Okay, this isn't something that's interior of the upstairs or the roof, but it's actually from one side of the house to the other side of the house. So as you know, Scott, our concern with that is people hanging out up there and things falling overboard. And you have a railing that's set up for parties and hanging out, and that would be a big concern. We have not been approving these types of plans.
This is a height variance in order to get that rooftop deck.
But
We've approved.
I specifically refrained from stating that the board does not like rooftop decks, because the last time I presented a rooftop deck case and mentioned that, the board expressed its displeasure in my observation. I had discussed with my client if he was able to keep the roof deck a way to eliminate that entire bulkhead. And that would bring the height significantly down from a 7-foot request to probably about a 4-foot request, because due to the railings. I would have to have that redrawn and presented to the board if the board would be willing to entertain that. But there is a way to completely eliminate the bulkhead. He wanted to submit that amendment initially, but we'd have to start the process all over again. And we're getting to the time where he'd like to get the things constructed and maybe have it done by the end of the year.
Timing is not our issue, Scott.
Understood. But we decided, it was more my decisions. Let's present this, and we can amend the plans to take out completely that bulkhead.
So Scott, if you take out the bulkhead completely, you're still going to be over by 4 feet?
If I read the plans correctly, the flat roof is at 38 feet. So that would put us probably, with the railing being another 3.5 feet, that puts us at 41. So if we're at, if we're at whatever the base flood elevation, so that would kind of put us at around somewhere between, I would think, 28 and 30, which makes it a little more palatable.
Yeah, Scott, I'm not quite sure where the building department got 32 feet here, because I'm not seeing that elevation.
Because the bulkhead isn't included. The bulkhead, as long as it's just under a certain area of the floor plan, it doesn't have to be included. I remember this coming up before.
Well, he's showing the top elevation at the midpoint of the roof rafters. So
at 45.4 feet.
Yeah.
But I think you need to subtract base flood elevation plus to freeboard.
Yeah, I know.
So freeboard is at 17 feet.
So I'm not getting 32 feet with
You know what? I don't know the focus.
any subtraction here.
That's the voodoo that the building department does.
Mhm. Well, it sounds like you're considering putting in an amended plan. You think
Yes.
you think we can get that straightened out with an amended plan?
Yes, because, and just so if I can walk you through it, just so you could understand it. If you look at page A2, the second floor plan,
Yeah.
okay, you see the staircase that's on the right side? That's the staircase that goes up to the roof deck.
Okay.
Okay, if he made that an exterior staircase,
Oh boy.
that with just, regular railing and a weatherproof door at the bottom, then there's no need for a bulkhead for access. So now you're walking and you're right on the roof deck.
Did you need a side variance for that then, or further?
No, because we're not exceeding the footprint of the house.
Okay.
But we need a side variance anyway because we're going to 4 feet and the code here is 5 and 8.
No, I thought you were gonna shrink it even more, like go down to 1 foot or so.
No, we're not. To go to 1 foot, it to me is
Gotcha.
being piggish.
Scott, let me understand what you're saying. The stair is going to be within the footprint of the building. You're not sticking it on the side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, if the bulkhead itself is at least 9 feet in actual height, if you look at it in the side view. And that's what hits you. That's what's going to make this thing look like a skyscraper. So if you can get away with no bulkhead at all, personally, I have much less problem with it,
And bring in the sides of the deck a little bit.
I would say yes. So, I personally, I don't have a total ban of roof decks in my feelings. Because we have been granting some roof decks.
We've denied a few too, based on the
Yes, we
fact that they're very, very, they resonate like concert halls if people
Yeah.
use them with music.
I've had 4 denied.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time that we approved a
Yeah,
rooftop.
no,
And-
they're far more disruptive to the neighbors than we realized.
This house, I have a question. This house is basically, I mean, these people live up in Westchester, and I mean, they're not going to be living in this house. So is this like a summer vacation weekend home for them?
That is
Or
my,
are the people going to be living here all year round?
my
Or
understanding.
renting it out.
Yeah.
They're not
I
going
mean,
to
they live up in Harrison, I mean, it looks to me like they're just building this to maybe possibly to come out on the weekends or whatever. And, we have to be cognizant of the fact that there are people that live here all year round and they're going to be looking at this every day. So we have to really be cognizant of the height. I mean, I know, and I certainly appreciate the fact that it's lessened in size in terms of the footprint, but it's the mass of it going upward, makes up for a little bit of the reduction of the footprint, in my opinion.
Right. So
It also sounds like some people on the board have a problem with roof decks in general. So you got to take that into account, Scott, also.
I do.
Yeah.
And Mike, I think you're right. It looks like it should be a 28.4 height variance, not a 32.4, right?
I can't really tell from the way they laid the dimensions out, but something's not jiving there. Yeah.
Scott, do you think, is there any way we could get a little clarification on this?
Well, what I will do is I will submit an amendment showing the roof deck without the bulkhead and showing the dimensions of that deck brought in on the sides. a bit. And I think that will clear it up and will lessen the impact. Because again, you're not going to have the skyscraper effect with this bulkhead squarely planted in the rear of the house. So I think that will solve a good deal of the board's concerns.
Well, to a little bit of extent. All right, I'd like to know what it would take to get this down to where it's within code. It's new construction. It's, you know, you have full-size garage, you have 2 stories in between, and you're asking for a rooftop deck. I've had individuals ask me, you know, when I'm wherever I am, and they're saying, yeah, but there are rooftop decks over there, and there's one over there, and there's one over there. And I said, well, chances are they didn't have to come for a variance. Okay, it's not so much that we're anti-rooftop deck, it's we're against rooftop decks that are asking for variances.
And I have asked that question to the architect, and what he had said to me was because this was designed as an open floor plan, I don't know the proper term, but I'll just use the girth of the beam for the span requires that extra height. It builds more height in because it's a much thicker beam. I'm not going to pretend to understand that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an architect. I have trouble hammering a nail in. So this is exactly what he had said to me was in order to support this structure, this is how he designed it. And that beam takes up more space.
Well,
You're
that's
saying,
all-
that you're saying that the room on the top floor with it's the full width of the house, et cetera, right?
Yeah, I think the whole house
Yeah.
is the way he kind of described it to me.
You've only got 10 feet or 9.5 feet floor to floor, so that's not a particularly high floor to floor height. So what you're talking about, I'm not really understanding as far as the.
But I gotta say, Esteban hit on a thing that I've said a lot. When it's a raise and you're asking for a height variance, it's one thing because it's an existing house that you really can't change. But when you're building new, there's no reason why we should be granting variances for height when it's a new structure that you're building. I mean, you know where the codes are. You should be designing within the codes.
Right. If we get rid of the bulkhead in its entirety, in this case, I think we are back down there.
Well, we're awfully close.
Yeah, well, so the architect needs to clarify these dimensions over here, and I'd like the building department to tell us what the actual, how he got his 32 foot height, because I can't figure that out from here. He may have measured to the actual peak of the roof, because if you go up to the 45, where the mid rafter is shown on the drawing here, and you subtract the 17, that gets you to 28 to the midpoint of those rafters. And it's probably another 5 feet or so to the peak of the roof. So I'm pretty sure that's where Scott measured it from.
Sounds crazy, but he probably reduced it 15 and said 17 is 2 off that and went 2 in the wrong direction.
No, I think he did what I said, because the architect tried to show it to the midpoint, but I think Scott was smarter than believing that. And that's the only way the numbers make sense.
Yeah.
So bring it down, Scott.
I will submit an amended plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, thanks very much. Is there anybody that wants to speak on the application? Neighbors?
There are no hands raised.
All right, let's get the hands going. Thank you.
No, there are no hands raised.
None, okay. Case remains open until voting. Thank you, Scott. Next
Thank
case,
you.
please.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Next,
Case number 2211, application Brendan Healy of 68 New Hampshire Street Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5C front yard to extend the existing front deck at 68 New Hampshire Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 231, lot 20, on the Nassau County land tax map.
Okay, applicant here.
Yes. Brendan, you have to unmute yourself. Okay.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Brendan Healy, I'm representing myself as the owner and the resident of this location. Just for the record, and I think I noted it within the COI statement, I serve as the chair of the Public Safety Commission here in the city of Long Beach, obviously an active resident here in the West End. And bottom line is we're seeking relief from the code for an extension of our front decks to be in line with our neighbors and many of our neighbors' sized decks in the front of the house. As the board is aware, outdoor space is a premium here in the West End. It's an important aspect to my family here and our quality of life. The current deck size that we have today presents a little bit of a challenge given our full use and wanting to use it a little bit more, especially in the summertime, and our overall lack of outdoor space. And as the board knows, similar variances have been granted for deck extensions 1 foot from the property line in the past. And as such, we don't believe that that'll be a detriment or cause an issue with the neighbors or community. And I'm happy to answer any questions and appreciate the board's consideration for the variance.
Oh, boy, an easy one.
The only question I have is the columns look like they're set 2 foot back. Can you set them back 3 foot? Because typically we allow when the deck goes 1 foot from the property line with the columns 3 foot back.
From the property line, though.
From the property line, right?
So,
I think he's showing it right.
Is it?
well, so I'm looking at the plans as I understand it, and there's been a lot of discussion back and forth with the architect on this. If the columns were to be set further back, it would cause a load structure issue. And this is the safest way to build the deck. The way that he's proposed it, he said that this is the safest way to do it.
It looks right. I thought I saw a 2 foot.
No, yeah, it's 3 foot from the property line,
Yeah.
1 foot for the.
On the north elevation, I saw a 2 foot there, but I see the 1 foot after. So it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's typically what we do, yeah.
I think that's in line with what we've been going along with, correct?
Yep, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, any other comments? Anyone want to speak in favor or against? Robin, no one, right?
No, there are no hands raised.
All right, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second.
Great.
Who made the motion?
Dan Creighton.
Dan made the motion, I'm seconding.
Case number 3211, application of Brendan Healy of 68 New Hampshire Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5C front yard to extend the existing front deck at 68 New Hampshire Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 231, lot 20, on the Nassau County land and tax map. Commissioner Creighton has introduced motion to grant the application. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant,
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant,
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Case
Good night,
number
Brandon.
12, application of Long Beach Speakeasy Corp. of 1032 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, and James Dowling of 607 Lafayette Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.16D side yard for a new roof over 1030 to 1032 West Beach Street, New York, also known as section 58, block 106, lots 19 and 18 on the Nassau County land and tax map. Hold on 1 second. Let me get Charlie Pecknick and
All right.
James Dowling. You just need to unmute your phones.
Okay, the applicant's ready to speak?
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Hi,
My
Charles.
name is, hey, Howard. My name is Charles Pecknick, P-E-K-N-I-C. 1005 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, 11561. And I've been retained by the owners of Long Beach Speakeasy Corp. to present their application to put a roof over existing seating. Present is also James Dowling, who's one of the owners. He's present on the Zoom. Long Beach Speakeasy is the tenants of the premises known as 1032 West Beach Street, New York. You may know it as Speakeasies. They're requesting a variance from the local ordinance 9-105.16 in order to construct a new roof over existing outdoor seating. There was a variance granted on this property back in 2013, but it was to go and construct an opening between the two buildings of 1030 and 1032. The variance was required because there are two different owners for that premises, for each of those premises. As the board's aware, this is owned as a Business B district, and as such, it's designed as an area, as a business center for the Long Beach businesses. What I'd like to present to the board is when determining the variances, the board has to weigh the weight of the benefit to the applicant versus the detriment to the neighborhood. The potential benefits to the applicant in this case are significant, while the detriment to the or adverse impact on the neighborhood is minimal at best. The factors that the board is going to consider is obviously whether this is self-created, whether it's a substantial variance, whether the variance will produce an undesirable result on the neighborhood, and whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the neighborhood's environment. First, this application is not self-created. As everyone is aware, since the outbreak of COVID, restaurants, which my client is down approximately 40%. Additionally, because of COVID, everybody is aware that outdoor dining and outdoor seating is a preferred method of going and having something to eat and going out to dinner. Although some people have become a little more comfortable with indoor dining, it is still not the norm. Most people would prefer to eat outdoors if possible. Now, currently there is outdoor seating on what would be the east side of the premises. However, at this point in time, it is uncovered. So with this uncovered outdoor seating area, it does present numerous issues that goes and will either stop people from eating outside, make their eating experience uncomfortable, or as recently has presented a little bit of a safety issue with the current situation. So that side of the premises on the east side gets full sun in the summer months. Because it's east and has south facing, the sun kind of comes up and is on that area throughout the morning and into the afternoon. And what that does is people eating on that side of the outdoor area gets very hot, becomes very uncomfortable. A roof will put this area in shade, and during those summer months will cool it off significantly and make it a much more pleasurable dining experience for the people. Additionally, in the months of April, late April, May, beginning of June, as well as late September and October, it often gets very cool down here with drizzly, misty weather. When you're eating outside, that drizzle and mist tends to create, again, another very uncomfortable dining experience, lends people not to want to eat outside in an uncovered area. By covering this, it prevents people from getting damp, from getting wet in this cool, wet portion of our time. Finally, what has become an issue as well is that in summer months especially, but also really any time of the year, when people are eating outside, if a thunderstorm rolls in or a quick rainstorm that lasts about 5-10 minutes blows through, anybody eating outside runs inside to go and get out of the rain. Normally it was an inconvenience. However, over the last year, what we've seen, and I think it's going to be the case for quite some time, is with all the COVID protocol regulations, occupancy regulations, as well as the social distancing regulations that are put on restaurants. As soon as that happens, when the patrons do run inside, what that does is it kind of destroys whatever social distancing the restaurant has done on the inside to protect its customers and to be compliant with the regulations. So putting a roof over this outdoor seating area will alleviate all of these issues that the patrons currently face if they are seated outside. Now, this variance itself is not substantial in the fact that we're not asking to increase occupancy. It's not increasing off-street parking. It's not having any impact on the neighborhood. We're simply asking to put a roof over existing seating. It will also not change the hours of the establishments, the way it conducts its business, or it will not entice undesirable patrons to the establishment. In fact, it will attract more responsible patrons who want to stay outside and not go inside to eat. This roof will not be going and blocking anyone's views. It's the premises itself is on Beach Street. It's the first business on the corner of that intersection. So there is no houses to the north of them that will have their view blocked. Additionally, putting a roof on the outdoor seating will actually be a benefit to the neighborhood because it could decrease the residual noise that's associated with sitting outside. By putting a roof over there, it'll go ahead and contain the noise to that particular area. Hence, for all of the reasons I just stated, there will be no adverse impacts on the neighborhood. In regard to the benefit to the applicant, as I stated earlier, as everyone knows, restaurants have been especially hard hit during this pandemic, and they need every opportunity to go and survive and secure patrons. As stated earlier, my client's business is down approximately 40% since March of 2020 due to COVID, and not only the restrictions, but people's actions as a result of it. Because of the actions of COVID, this will permit my client to go and provide safe dining to his patrons and prevent the possibility of endangering patrons inside his premises during those summer months. This will let him help take advantage also of the booming summer months in an effort to try to go and make some profit and make up for some significant revenues that were lost over the summer. Again, because most of the business is done in the summertime, by having that permanent shade over there will also greatly increase his business during the day when the sun is bearing down on that side of his building. As you may know, it is very good to help these establishments survive. Speakeasies is one of the few businesses that are here in the West End that survived for more than 10 years. The owners have been consistent. James Dowling, who is on this Zoom call, he lives right here in Long Beach. He lives over on Lafayette with his wife and children. He is a local person. Him and Jake have run the business since it started, and they are responsible to this community. They go.
Sounds pretty good, huh?
By granting this variance, they'll go and they will continually try to cater to the patrons and the neighbors of this area, make it safer for them, and hopefully continue to put out a very good product. By granting this variance, the applicant will now be able to provide a covered dining area for those people uncomfortable with sitting inside, provide a shaded area for his patrons on the hot days, a warm, dry area on those cool spring and fall months, prevent diners from rushing inside on thunderstorms and rainstorms, and in essence, just make it a better experience for the neighbors. As a result of doing this, he hopes to obviously increase his bottom line, which in this day and age is very important to get through. The fact that so many of our restaurants have made it through this year, I think is a testament to the community and to the hard work of the business owners. And Jamie and Jake have no plans on leaving this area anytime soon. As I stated earlier, he's married, 3 kids, and he wants to do his best he can for this area. In the past 10 years, Speakeasies, not to my knowledge, has not received any noise violations for being a disorderly premises, for fights, or for underage drinking. In addition to the thousands of dollars it donates to local organizations when they come knocking on their doors for fundraisers of all types. So as a result of all of what I've presented to you, we would respectfully request that this variance is not self-created, is not substantial, will not have a negative impact on the neighborhood, and will in fact greatly benefit the applicant. So we respectfully request approval for the same. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Pecknick. All right, at this point, just a couple of questions. This roof, what's the dimension of the roof that's going to be covering over the parking? Well, it was a park, no, not parking area, but over the dining area at one time. Thought it might be parking,
No, it was, as far as I know, wasn't parking. When it was the daycare center, that was their outdoor play yard. So that has always been fenced in for as long as I've been down here. So the dimensions are 10 feet wide by 60 feet long.
It matches the walls of the existing outdoor dining area.
Correct. It's literally just going to cover the dining area. It's not extending over any other portions of the sidewalk, the building, anything to that effect.
And there's windows that are framed into it already that, according to the plan, look like they're going to stay there, or like framed open.
Those aren't actually windows. Those are just openings.
They're
those are
framed
columns.
open, right.
Yeah, they're not windows. So those would just be columns.
Correct.
So are you gonna use basic roof material or something special, something different?
No, it's going to be the basic roof material, but he's going to go, and in order to make it look very nice, he's going to use shiplap along it to go and bring the nautical theme and the beach theme in. So it'll be shiplap exterior with some stucco as well.
Any other questions?
Very minimal impact, for a pretty good improvement of the dining area to me.
I agree. And actually the roof will add a very nice acoustical element to that dining space and for the neighborhood.
I believe I agree with you on that.
Any other comments? Robin, anyone for or against?
Yes, hold on.
Okay. Can you call them up, please?
James Lynch, you must unmute yourself.
Go ahead, James.
Good evening, Board. Jamie Lynch, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, we are in full support of this application. As you know, I'll just echo Charlie Pecknick's presentation, and it hits on everything that the businesses are all about, what they need. We need to stand these businesses back up and give them our full support. It doesn't bring any additional traffic to the neighborhood. It allows them to space people out properly, as we know that we're not through this pandemic yet, and we support it. And just to keep in mind that, as you saw in Manhattan, restaurants were allowed to do street side cafes, and that was something we discussed in Long Beach. And just because of the nature of Beach Street, it's not something that could happen. So wherever, this is just a perfect example and a trial run about what would be great about, doing it here. It's a 10-foot by 60-foot space. Adjacent to it is a laundromat with no windows, doors. It's no real issue to the neighbors. And these guys run a great premise. Their business group is well respected, and I think this should be allowed, and we support it and hope that the board, and I'll just point out additionally that the city just today came out and said that they are moving up their outdoor seating permits for restaurants, West End and through town, a month early. So I would ask that if the board was inclined to grant this, that they do it tonight so that they can get started and
and be ready for the opening season, if you will.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Robin, there was someone else?
No, there are no other hands raised.
All right. That being said, if there's no other hands raised, I'm going to make a motion to grant this.
I'll second.
Okay, great.
Case number 3212, application of Long Beach Speakeasy Corp. of 1032 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, and James Dowling of 607 Lafayette Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.16B side yard for a new roof over outdoor seating at 1032 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 58, block 106, lots 19 and 18 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, Chairman Morelli has introduced the motion to grant the application. Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton,
Given what COVID has done to small businesses, definitely grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks,
Wanda,
She's muted, but her lips, I could read her lips. I think she said.
She's not muted. She's not moving her lips.
he said yes.
She's testing her lips. I didn't hear it. Okay.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant,
Commissioner Leonetti,
Granted.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep.
Sure. Bye.
Case number 3213, application of Joanne McCann of 210 Washington Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.1C front yard for a new front porch at 210 Washington Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 37, lots 4 through 6 on the Nassau County Land and Tax.
Okay, is the applicant unmuted from the 210 Washington?
Yes, I am.
All right. Good evening, sir. Name?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Vincent Albert of 106 New Hampshire Avenue in Massapequa. I represent Joanne McCann from her architect's office of 210 Washington Boulevard, Long Beach, New York. I don't have anything important like some of the other people, but we're here seeking relief from the required front yard setback for a front open masonry porch. We're seeking to extend the porch to a length of a front yard setback of 16 feet, which is a 4-foot encroachment. The reasoning for this is just so the client, Joanne, can get some seats outside, enjoy her outside, front porch or, I'm sorry, enjoy the front porch. And the proposal is made. We're not putting a roof over this. We're not going to ever enclose it. It's just to get an area to put a couple of chairs out front. We want to add a riser, maybe 2 possibly, because they're a little steep, the steps now. And we just want to have it, more easy for her to navigate. And like I said, it's a masonry porch. We're keeping it the same pavers that are there, the same look of the brick on the house. We're not changing the look of anything aesthetically on the outside.
Looks like a very nice, low impact improvement on the house and the usage to me.
Thank you.
so you're just moving what is basically a landing right now. You're just extending that 4 feet towards the line.
Correct.
So
We're
that
bringing
is
it, we're extending it. It's a 4-foot encroachment. We're not extending it 4 feet. We're extending it about 3 feet. It's 9 by 4 now. And we're gonna make it wider, about 4 feet on each side, and then another 3 feet out from where the existing stands.
Looks like it fits with the nature of the house. And, you really could use some seating right outside there, it looks like to me. I like it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone want to speak in favor or against, Robin?
No hands raised.
All right, I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 3213, application of Joanne McCann of 210 Washington Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances, City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.1C front yard for a new front porch at 210 Washington Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 37, Lots 4 through 6, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced the motion to grant the application. Commissioner Reckner has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Case number 3214, application of 1215 West Park Avenue LLC, care of Lisa Carney of 136 Mark Lane, Atlantic Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-113.2G or parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 1215 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York. Also Section 58, Block 133, Lot 163, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
The applicant's present?
Yes, Chris Carney, you have to unmute yourself.
Mute. Hi.
Okay, we can hear you.
Mr. Carney, go ahead. Give us your name and address for the record, and let's know what's going on. Is
yeah.
there an address? Is there an error here on the address though? Because it says 136 Mark Lane. That's Atlantic Beach, isn't it? It says Long Beach on the paperwork of the case.
That's my
Is that-
residence.
Okay, yeah, but it says right under it, Long Beach, New York. That's not Long Beach. That's Atlantic Beach, isn't it? So there's an error there. I just want to make sure. On the
Yep,
denial letter.
26 Mark Lane, Atlantic Beach, New York.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Atlantic Beach, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but what I'm saying is on the denial letter, right, that I have, that's dated, the denial letter dated May. Oh, this is an older letter. I don't know if we have this in the packet. It says 1215 West Park Avenue LLC, care of Chris Carney, 136 Mark Lane, Long Beach, New York, 11561, but it's not Long Beach. The 136 Mark Lane is Atlantic Beach.
That is correct.
Yeah, so that just wanted to make a note for the record that the original letter from 2019 that was in the file was incorrect. Okay? All right, go ahead.
No, it's 1215. It's going to be my son's house. It is a two-family house. It has that single lane driveway. I just want to widen it to the side of the house so cars can pass each other if they want to come and go.
You're talking about widening the curb cut as well as the driveway?
No, sir. I don't know if I can widen that. There's a tree there. There's some other things
Okay.
there. I was just going to widen it just to the to the side of the house and then come back for where the curb is.
Okay, so in other words, you would go up into the existing curb cut, and instead of just going straight, then you would have the availability to go over a little bit towards the side of the house.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay. All right. What would the size of that parking spot be? Do you know?
I do not know offhand. It would be to the side of the house and then whatever is comfortable for two cars and then the cutoff to the curb cut. Is that on the plans, I think?
I'm looking right now. I mean, I see the survey, but I don't see the design. Okay, let me just look at this right here now. Does anybody have a copy of the parking generator? I don't see it. Am I missing the page of it?
That was the original plan before it was denied. I think I wrote that, I drew what we were contemplating doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not with our current package. I can't see where the spot is going to be.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Well, I'm comfortable with any space you want to give me there, just so I could park a car and be able to go to the side of the house back to where the garage is. It's just difficult because if you put a car there, I can't go back to my garage.
Right, so now you come all the way down the side, the property line, and then you hang a left to get into your garage, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna widen the driveway at some point. Now I see a concrete path to your open porch, and I see steps and a porch to the main house. So is this spot gonna be, take away that, the concrete walk to the open porch, or?
No, the walkway would have to remain. Actually, I would think if I could change the stairs to come to widen the stairs to come down to that level. Am I being clear?
Mhm. Yeah, and, I mean, I can see plenty of space to widen the driveway here. I'm just not sure where you want to do it.
Okay, I had that on that initial drawing. If that's something you guys need to see or something you want to put on, I'm fine with it. I just need to widen that driveway is the essential thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, we really kind of need something to look at. I don't see anything in the package. Mike, do you?
No, there's nothing in what we got today.
With
No, it's not clear.
the first proposal, the first thing I drew for you guys. And then I got the letter denying it.
That was months ago?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, we don't have it in our package here today.
What's
I have
in
this
there is-
Robin, do you have that in your file? Ms. Lynch, do you have that, any of those drawings in your file? No, right?
The survey that was submitted is, that's what's on file at the building department. Don't you have the surveys? There should be 2 copies of it, actually.
Yeah, I think the survey is the only thing we have though, but we don't have an actual plan.
Oh, there was no plan. It was just a survey and they just said to draw a line where I wanted to widen the driveway too.
Oh, okay.
Right, but
All right,
that's,
let's go back to that then.
yeah.
But I don't see the line that you were going
Yeah,
to
me
draw.
either.
The survey we were looking at it has no revisions. It's not edited in any way.
Oh, okay. I just assumed that you have the original application.
Yeah.
Now, would you be able to
had
submit
deny
that?
something? Didn't you deny what was on there? What I submitted?
Yeah, that was another case though. Do you have the drawing in front of you? You could hold it up to the screen.
No, I don't.
Rich, is that one marked up? Rich, we have that drawing, but ours is not marked up. Does that have the parking space drawn on it?
No, sir.
No, this one's not marked up either. I was just trying to see, maybe I can scan this and share the screen. I don't know if that'll help.
Well, we
Um,
have that. We have that one.
Yeah, if
Right.
it's not marked up, it's not helping us.
We have that one. Yeah.
Right, my suggestion was maybe just scanning this, sharing the screen, and maybe Mr. Kearney can kind of describe what he's looking at on the screen to you guys and where it might go, but that's just a suggestion. I don't know if it's going to be helpful.
Well, actually, that would be very helpful. And if you guys want to just draw a line and tell me where I can extend the driveway to, and you're comfortable with that, then I'm sure that would be acceptable to me. Like I said, I just want to make it so if I could park 2 cars over there on that side and have a car come and
Right.
go to the garage.
We're not against that, but we just want to not hold you up till next month. So as long as we know where it's going.
Right. So if you guys could do wherever you want me to put the driveway, and I'll abide by that.
So when you originally put the plan, so you understand where we're talking about where the concrete walkway is?
Yes.
Were you looking to park 2 cars in front of that concrete walkway, like to the left of your driveway?
Yes.
So, like,
That's it
maybe-
exactly.
So maybe we can walk through it. So like legally, how many feet does he need to be able to park 2 cars over there?
It should be 20 feet per car, I think.
Could I just come to the side of the house? Is that agreeable to you guys? To where the edge of that concrete walkway is?
I don't know how many, so it would be 24 feet totally wide from your current driveway to the side of the
Yes,
house. It looks
correct,
like it's
correct.
saying it's 24, and a half feet, right, or something?
Yes,
I think that's doable, and then you're looking to come out 40 feet from the concrete driveway so that you can park two cars.
exactly. And then I'll just cut over to that where the curb cutout is.
I mean, that seems reasonable at 40 feet in length and then 24 feet in total in width. That's the number, 24 feet in total in the width?
Yeah, it's 24 and a half. I mean, he has a front yard of 99 feet,
Okay.
It's a huge front yard. Oh, thank you so much.
So yeah, so where that 9 is, right in front of the concrete, coming out that way 20, and then I think that's what his drawing is. That's the line right there. Ours doesn't have that.
Okay, yeah, that 20 and the 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, nine would be the extra width that you need for a car. Okay, and what is it, 19 or 20 feet that you need in length for each car?
I think it's 20.
You just grant like a 40 by 9, right?
And
that would be great.
Mr. Carney, are you looking to add one space or two spaces?
If I could add 2 spaces, that would be great.
I think the denial letter referred to one. One new space in the front yard. So that's where the 9 by 20 would come in. Would be one space.
Right. Could we extend that to 40 so I could have a little bit of room to get around in there? It's not really going to change the look of anything or interfere with anybody. I mean, it's really just so I can get around, it's a the CO is for a 2-family house, and it's difficult with that 1-lane driveway to come and go.
Well, it's all coming out of your lawn. I don't know if you have 40 feet from the concrete ramp to the front property line.
Don't I have 99 feet?
Oh, you're right. Okay. The whole property.
That's not even half of the driveway. It's just 2 parking spaces.
Yeah. Okay. So
because I would put a parking space there, and then you'd still be able to get around.
Okay.
So you're asking for a total of 3 parking spaces?
A total of 2, because the other one would be the driveway to get to the garage so cars can pass.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And already existing.
Okay, I see.
And it'd still be 50 feet from the sidewalk or 40 feet from the sidewalk.
I mean, it certainly seems reasonable at this point. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
The only question is just how we describe it, since we don't have a drawing. So do we want to say it's okay to add a 9 by 40 parking pad to the left of the existing driveway?
Rich, can we say that?
Well, the application's for 1 space, right? So it depends on how much space he needs. You can do, yeah, I mean, depends on how much is.
Can we just enumerate the size of the space?
How wide is the curb cut?
The curb cut's remaining the same.
Okay.
And the additional space is going to be up towards the house, not towards the curb.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's like a siding. It's like a railroad siding is what he's doing. You can come in the driveway and you can pull to the left and park 1 or 2 cars. And then in that case, you can still go, that would clear the driveway. So basically.
That's it perfectly. Thank you.
Yeah. So the question is, he asked for 1 space, which would be 9 by 20. So now he's asking for 9 by 40, which is still plenty of room in the yard there. So
basically it's 2 spaces now.
yeah.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be affecting the street or anything else. I mean, He's just really parking two more cars on his own property, well
Yeah.
within the property line.
In
they're
in a very
back to back,
necessary
right?
location. Mhm.
And they're back to back, so the visual from the street will be no different, whether it's one or two.
So the question is, does he need to
Be head to
submit
tail.
amended, or can?
Now, how are we gonna word
He
it?
would have to amend his proposal for 2 spots, basically. I mean,
So
he's got
that's-
the space. That's not the point. It's just the application itself is for 1 spot.
So Chris, that's a question for you. I mean, we can move forward with the one spot, or we can hold it and you could submit amended plans for the 2 spots, and then we can vote on it at the next meeting.
Which is a month from now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cleaner. That way you could put it on a drawing and we could all see it, and then
Or we can vote on the 1 spot of 20 by 9. That is your call.
Now, if you voted on the 1 spot for 20 by 9, which I believe you all say is pretty reasonable, can I then ask for another one to go 20 feet more for two cars to park there?
You should just wait and submit an amended plans and then let us vote at the next meeting. I think would be easier and cleaner.
Yeah, because you're gonna lose a month, but at the same time, Chris, it just seems that it makes more sense rather than having to go through a whole other application process,
Okay,
right? Because then
okay.
you got to get another number for a case and so forth. It doesn't make any sense,
Okay, so I'll just.
Why don't you just amend the plan, give us 2 more spots, 40 feet, and then we could vote on it next month because the case remains open until voting. So we don't have to vote on it tonight. We vote on it in a month. Meanwhile, you send us the paperwork within the month, and then we'll vote on that next month.
And you could be lining up with your mason to set it up in your calendar at this point anyway.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. That's something I can just come into the building department and amend?
I think so.
Yeah.
Rich, it's Robin. If it's going to affect the denial letter anyway, will there have to be new notices?
Yeah, that's a good question.
He's asking for more.
Oh.
Right.
Can we grant a 9 by 40 space in the front of the house?
That's not what he asked for, though.
Well, that's not true, because I never wrote the 20 by 9. Somebody else did. They
So
just.
the 20 by 9 is just a standard minimum amount of space, right? So your application was, if you come, you say, I want an extra spot in front of my front yard, they take your application as a 1 spot request, right? It's not for a specific square footage or actual perimeter. It's just what the code requires is at least a 9 by 20 clearance in order to park a car.
Okay, yeah, I was really going more for just to widen the driveway so I could come and go but I didn't know it was referred to as parking in front of the house. Yeah, I would have gone for the 2 spots. I definitely wanted at least 40 feet so he can maneuver in there, and it doesn't really affect, anything.
Rich, can we say a conditional acceptance that no more than 9 by 40?
It's not.
Get you guys working for me, thanks.
Yeah, no, it's not necessarily on point with the application, right? You got to go with what the application says. Because if you grant the 9 by 40, it's still for 1 car. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think what Commissioner Reckner started with was that the cleaner way to do it is to probably just submit an amended application. The question of whether we have to submit new notices is a good one. I have to look into it. It's not changing really he's asking for more, but it's not really changing the substance of the request. Something I got to look into.
Okay, I guess we'll have to wait because I'd rather not go through the rigmarole of all new letters and all that, like Robin asked.
We would like to save paperwork too.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just look into the likelihood of basically, we always say, as you said, Rich, 9 by 20, because that's just a standard spot. The problem is, though, if someone has a spot that's bigger than 9 by 20, if let's just say they had 9 by 24 or something like that, they still need a variance because it's the location of the spot in the front yard. Right. So the thing is, he's asking us for a spot, but if he didn't specify 9 by 20, 9 by 30, 9 by 30, 9 by 40, he would still be coming up to the board for the same variance of a parking spot. It's not specified what the parking spot has to be. The minimum is 9 by 20. But if somebody, let's say, has a 9 by 40 spot in front of his house and he wants to park a car there because of the fact that it's in front of the house, that's what actually triggers the variance, not the dimension so much, unless the dimension was substandard on top of that. Because sometimes we'll have somebody that wants it on an 18, let's say, and we'll ask them, is the car going to stick out onto the sidewalk, that sort of thing. But when they ask for a parking spot, it really could be pretty much any size. It's the fact that it's in front of the house that's actually triggering off the variance when you have in excess of the 9 by 20. So I mean, personally, I think that perhaps it is something that could go through on an original application.
Yeah, that's why I was asking if we say we grant one spot no more than 9 by 40 feet in front of the house, because like you said, it's only the minimum that's 9 by 20. We could allow 9 by 40 and say no more than that.
And, chances are, Mr. Carney, you're not going to get a ticket, even though if you park 2 cars in it, even though it's only legally for one. I mean.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. Like I said, because there is parking behind the house on the side of the house. It's really just, if you want to come and go in the middle of the day and you park your car there and run into the house, it'd be better if I could just park it over to the left side and still.
No, we understand why you want it.
Now, is this gonna affect the open porch that you have?
I'm sorry.
Is this gonna affect the open porch?
No,
No, it's going in front of the concrete walkway.
it's just going to, you see where it says concrete driveway, Wanda?
Yes.
The concrete driveway to the left of the concrete walk is just going to be wider. It's going to be 9 feet wider.
Correct.
I think that Rocco made a really good point though about what the actual variance is for and what we can
grant.
Yeah, I certainly have no problem with saying it's for one space, and just if I can do the 9 by 40, that would be great.
Okay. So just draw it out that way on the application. In the meantime, Councilor Barrios will look into it to make sure we're correct. But on its face value, it certainly would make sense to me that if it's not spelled out, that anything in excess of 9 by 20 still needs a variance because it's triggered by the fact that it's in front of the house. Somebody could have an excess of the 9 by 20, it could be 9 by 23. It would still need a variance, So.
But why couldn't we vote on this now then, Rocco? Because all it says, it doesn't specify any size.
Well, I also think council would feel more comfortable if he was able to, research that. Is that correct, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Rocco, the more I think about it, essentially what Mr. Kearney's asking for, right? He's asking for the location of the parking spot. I'm a little hung up on the fact that it's asking for one spot, right? If it said, requesting parking in the front yard, it would be one thing. And that might just be me mincing through words.
That's what we, want you to do.
I mean, that's my job. So
it'll look. Listen, it could be a parking spot for a very, for a very big car. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm reading the rejection.
What if he had a stretch limo?
But I'm reading the rejection letter. Where does it say one spot?
Yeah.
It just says off-street parking. Code requires all off-street parking be located in the rear yard, side
No,
yard.
it says for one new spot.
Yeah, in the front yard.
It doesn't necessarily, I mean, listen, it doesn't necessarily specify that it's one new space for one car. I mean.
Yeah, it says permit application submitted to the department for new off-street parking in the front yard for reference premises. Where does it say one?
On the denial letter.
At the end of the second paragraph. On the denial letter.
Proposal indicates one new space in the front yard.
Oh, one new, okay.
I mean, if you think about it, in the end of the thing, it's like the benefit of the applicant versus the detriment of the community. I mean, parking is so limited. If this can pull more cars off the street.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right, let's get the sketch from Mr. Carney. okay? And let it show 40 feet. And in the meantime, Rich, you decide if we need to change the verbiage. And I can't imagine the neighborhood being any more concerned about 40 feet or 20 feet inside this 100-foot yard here.
No, I think you're probably right. Yeah.
I mean, if
All
Richard,
right, so-
Richard, if you're comfortable with it, do we have to go through all this bureaucratic stuff?
That's my job. I'm the
Wait a
attorney.
month,
so-
I mean, I'm
We
not being
kinda-
disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful. I just like
No,
to
no, I
get,
got you.
and we all kind of, everybody kind of agrees from what I'm hearing. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, listen, we can vote on the one new space. I guess the question is, I don't want you to be in a position where you have to come back and then, I'm the bad guy. What I'd like to do is just, I guess, submit the sketch. We'll see if we have to amend your application at all. Because my feeling is we probably don't, but I'm not 100% sure at this point.
now when you say submit the sketch, can't somebody just draw the line of 40 feet and that's my sketch?
Yes, you can. You can go to the building department and,
I'm saying somebody there can't do that tonight?
no, you're going to come in and do that, okay?
Either way, we have to wait to the next meeting and vote because then it would be held over. So it's not going to change anything. As they mentioned before, you can start securing, the mason that's going to do this work for you. We're all, we're trying to make it as easy so that you don't have to go through this again.
And just so you know, Mr. Carney, the building department and us are very different. The building department's actually who rejected it. We're just hearing a case on whether the building department rules could be overlooked. So the building department would still have to get your.
Just hang on one second. I'm making a phone call.
I appreciate you gentlemen and lady working with me. Thank you so much.
Ladies.
Ladies, I'm sorry. I didn't see your picture there, Wanda.
All right, so we're holding it over, Rocco?
I think
Rich is calling the building department.
Rich is checking on something, and if it does need to be held over and if it does need to be reheard, Chris, I have all of your information, so we could get the notices back out in due time to put you on the next calendar if it's deemed.
Okay. I certainly appreciate everybody working with me, and if I could resolve it tonight, of course, that would be great. If we have to wait the month, that's fine too. And thank you everyone for going back and forth.
Next time, put your drawings together.
Well, I actually went into the building department and they were very, very helpful there. And I told them what I wanted to do. I wasn't as concerned with the parking as I was concerned with just being able to get around each other. And
We
in
understand
that,
that.
I might have said one parking space, whatever. I never put that 9 by 20.
We understand that, but we work with drawings typically, okay?
So also keep in mind that when he went in and he did fill out the paperwork, he did not say for one car. He said off-street parking in the front yard.
And my drawing that I provided for you guys originally had at least a 9 by 40 space there. Because when I cut off, because they were like, it's a big deal if you're going to change the curb cut. And I said, okay, I won't change the curb cut, but I'll come all the way down here and cut over. And it was at least 40 feet. So I don't know who put the 20 feet. Oh, that was the misunderstanding.
Mr. Kearney, let me ask this question. Are you going to be parking these in tandem, or are they going to be kind of side to side in the width of the lot?
Confused. Tandem, you mean behind each other?
Yeah, like one behind the other. Is that how you're planning on parking the vehicles in there?
Oh,
The reason I ask is because there's two separate provisions of the code, right? So if you're parking them in tandem, it's one thing. If you're parking them side by side where one's not impeded from ingress or egress, that's a different question. You know what I'm saying?
They're going to be in tandem, but they'll both be accessible the way it's being done. It's not your typical tandem where one blocks the other. It's going to be like parallel parking next to his driveway. That's another reason we want to see a sketch, because there's still some questions in people's minds about exactly where you're putting this.
Okay. I don't, okay, whatever.
All right, let's just make it simple. The case will remain open until voting. Robin, was there anyone that wanted to speak on this anyway, for or against?
There are no hands raised.
All right, so the case remains open until voting. Mr. Carney will have the time to submit the sketch and we'll vote on it next month, okay? And I think we have one more item, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
let me just get them. Case number 2645, application of Gabriella Chandler of 246 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.1A1 use for renewal of a conditional temporary variance for a two-family use at 246 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 126, lot 26, on the Nassau County Land Tax Map.
Okay, is the applicant present or,
Yes, Mrs. Chandler, you need to unmute yourself.
yeah? Can we get the sketch off? Thank you. Ms.
Yeah.
Chandler, hi, how are you?
Okay,
Name and address for the record. You're,
I'm Gabriella Chandler. My address is 246 East Walnut Street, Long Beach.
okay. And you came to us a few years ago because basically you needed to change the layout of the use of the house. And I believe there was some illness in the family at that time. Someone was,
Yes,
your
my
husband, I believe.
husband was, yes, and this was disabled, and we are living on Social Security. And in addition, now my daughter's passed away, and we are legal guardian. My husband and I are the legal and residential guardian of a 7-year-old, and we're on Social Security. So basically, we want it, and he's enrolled in the Long Beach school system, and we're here for the stay, but we do need the rent, and that's it. Nothing's changed. Everything stays the same. We're just a little older and a little poor.
We understand. Do any members of the board have any questions? I remember this case originally, or is there anybody that wants to speak in favor or against this application or this renewal?
There are no hands raised.
All right, if there's no one else that's going to speak on this, I'm going to vote to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 2645, application of of 2 Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.1A1 use for a renewal of a conditional temporary variance for two-family use at 246 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 126, lot 26, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced the motion to grant the application. Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good night.
Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, folks.
The last case.
That's it. We're done.
Dan, are we still on? Dan?
Yep, I'm still on.
All right. No, Dan Frazier. Are we still on public now? Can we shut down? Because I have some questions actually for Rich or for some other members of the board too.
Hold on.
Let's make sure, because there were some very embarrassing things in the paper about the school board out east.
Oh, boy.
All right.
All right, Rocco, you don't need me though. It's Denise, right?
No, we don't need you.
Okay. See you soon.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is are we still on or not?
It says we're
still
live. It
Yeah.
says
We're
we're
live.
live.
Okay.
What was the school board thing? I missed that. I'm sorry.
There was
Oh,
some stupid
they
comments
realized
made by
they were still
someone.
online, and there was a whole bunch of nasty things they said that shouldn't have been out
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
About the school?
About the parents,
Wow.
Parents in Long Beach?
No,
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 no.
no, out east somewhere.
California.
Oh.
Does David know we ended? Can somebody hit him up?
Did I texted him?
What's up?
There's Dave. Thanks.
We don't
Okay.
want to be live anymore.
No, are we live or not?
Yes, hold on.
Okay, thanks.